And today we're talking about communication and different nuances of communication, because I think it can be summed up with the quote from Virginia Satir, which is, everything we are as beings communicates. Everything we are as beings communicates. We give off so much information by our eye contact, lack of eye contact, physiology, tone of voice, the linguistics, the certain words that we use, what we're saying, what we're not saying. And some of us, it's very obvious, we're very expressive. Some of us, not you, but possibly you, have quite a leaky face. It could be quite obvious what you're thinking. For some of us, we're not as expressive.
I also want us to be thinking about changing the state that leads to the story, that leads to the strategy. If we change the strategy, then you possibly could get different results, but actually deeper results, more evolving results, more empowering results are going to come from you changing the story and changing your state. How do you feel in the conversation? How do you feel posturing into it? What's sort of cracking off in your head? What's the internal dialogue?
I don't know, 2 top tips, so hard to narrow it down to 2 top tips for anyone that's in a leadership, a management position. What would those top tips be?
First one I would say is, and the reason I mention it is because it goes back to what we said initially, success leaves clues. So be curious about when you're successful. The second thing I would say is just be kind. And the first place to be kind is be kind to ourselves. Sometimes we get it wrong. Damien,
thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us your insight, as always. Tremendous.
I've loved it. It's a brilliant idea.
And like all professional shows, we are going to go live to the weather with Elena.
And so I'm going to talk about some C words just now, which probably could be quite nerve-wracking as from a Glaswegian with red hair. But I'm just going to talk about some C words that I'm seeing emerge in the conversations with my clients. And one of the ones we've already spoken about, conversation. And I link that into culture. Culture is all about conversations. It's about the conversations that are happening and the conversations that aren't happening.
On my passport, my name is Kirsty Joy Grace Hope Mack. And I chose my identity, and I chose my name, and I chose my story. And I think that's within all of our gifts. Sometimes we have to take a moment and see, maybe that wasn't my dream. What's really important for me to say is that a lot of what we're going through, your BDs, your BMs, your RMs, your CSMs, all of these abbreviations, all of these people have had very similar developmental journeys. And that's incredibly important, because what it'll give us is similar language. And it means that we can create really high-performing teams that have got the same linguistics, and that you can talk about all these insights together. And so you're actually going to be sharing your journey, which is incredibly important. Conversation. They are wonderful at having conversations. They name the conversation. So have you ever gone into a meeting or a one-to-one or something, you go in and you thought it was about something else, and then you come out and go, what the truck was that all about? And these leaders are brilliant because they name the conversation. And that's one of the things that we're going to do this afternoon, is getting you to think about, how do you set up context? How do you set up intention? How do you set up clarity? And if conversation is the relationship, and even if that is just purely a lens in our reality, not the truth per se, then what does it mean in terms of the relationships that you're having?
Looking at a project or a program, whatever it might be. If you draw on the screen, it's absolutely great. It's just going to happen. My question to you is this. I often ask my clients this: are you a team or are you a meeting? Are you a team or are you a meeting? And often what I do, if I'm in sort of a physical setting, if I all had you together, I would have team on one side and I've had meeting on one side, and I'd get you to think about your team, and I'd ask you to go to whatever side of the room or be in the middle.